Holy crap, this one is really disturbing. This is the headline that surprised me. Um, Check this out from Oregon. This is from Oregon Public Broadcasting. And the reporter here is Lauren Dake, who's covered the foster care system in Oregon for a while now. So she's written several articles about this. But look at this headline for a second, because this is disturbing. Oregon is placing foster children in unlicensed short-term rental homes and paying millions to do so. And why am I talking about this? Because of the subtitle right here, the subhead. State child welfare officials signed a contract with a religious nonprofit, paying it more than 100 times the amount they pay foster parents to care for vulnerable children. So let me back up for a second and explain what is going on here. Like, just to give you some backstory here, Oregon has, like a lot of states, they've been struggling for years to care for vulnerable kids. If you're a foster child, you don't have parents, you don't have anyone who can take care of you. The state has you in custody, and maybe they want to put you in a temporary home until you are an adult and able to function on your own. So the state has an obligation to take care of you. And what's been happening, and this is something Lauren Dake has been reporting on for a while. I'm going to show you some other headlines here because they're also disturbing. It's been a problem in Oregon. Oregon continued to put foster kids in hotels. They were putting them in hotel rooms. How is that good for the kids who need some sort of family to look after them? In other cases, they just sent them. Here's another article. Out of state, out of mind. And check this out. The second paragraph there. Emails, case files, and interviews show that for children in foster care who were sent across state lines, Oregon largely trusted a private for-profit company to basically do everything. The result is a litany of disturbing outcomes, tales of abuse, neglect, vulnerable children left to fend for themselves. So this is the point. It's hard enough to take care of these foster children. Sometimes there are foster parents who take in these kids and oh my God, they're saints for doing that. And hopefully, they know they're taking in these kids only temporarily. Sometimes they do it for more than one child. The state gives those families some money to assist them with the process. But here's the problem in this case of Oregon. Because they, I guess, had a lack of foster parents. And then the question becomes, well, what do we do with these kids we got to take care of? Sometimes they sent them out of state. Maybe another state can help us take care of it. We'll give them money to do it. But there was a lot of abuse, not enough oversight. That's a problem. Sometimes in Oregon, they put those kids in hotel rooms or Airbnbs or something. It's like those kids do not need to be living on their own. They need to be in a family somewhere where they have people who are looking after them day after day. And they have a sense of permanence, even if it is temporary. You know what I mean? And so in Oregon, check out this paragraph in this article. In October of 2022, Oregon child welfare officials signed a contract with this Christian ministry called Dynamic Life, noting that they could be paid up to $2,916 per day for every child or teenager the state places in their care. This Christian ministry could get up to $3,000 a day per child. Compare that to the amount the state's child welfare system pays a foster parent to care for a teenager, which is $795 per month. Maybe a little more if that child has special needs or anything else like that, if they have other needs. But again, it's not much. Meanwhile, this Christian ministry is getting so much more than that. In the last 12 months, the state of Oregon has paid the religious nonprofit more than $7.75 million to provide support services to about 40 kids at risk of temporary lodging and to those already in temporary lodging as a hotel. So that's messed up. Why are they giving this Christian nonprofit so much money? That's insane. It's not weird, by the way, for a Christian nonprofit to get taxpayer dollars to do secular work. That happens across the country. There's nothing illegal about that. But the only way that's supposed to happen is if the religious ministry has oversight, if they play by the state's rules. That's what's supposed to happen. You may have heard of controversies where the state says, if we give money to like a Catholic run adoption agency, well, they can't discriminate against gay parents. And the Catholic ministry might say, we can do whatever we want. We have the right to discriminate against gay parents. And then there's a lawsuit and things like that. But in this case, if you're giving money to a foster care ministry or a ministry that says we have foster parents, they're supposed to play by the rules. That's not what's happening here. If anything, it's worse because the ministry is just taking all that money that could have been used to help those kids in other ways. Like, my God, they could rent an apartment or put a down payment on a house with that sort of money or something. Like, the kids would benefit so much more if that money went to certified foster parents instead of this Christian ministry. Or hell, some sort of marketing campaign to get more foster parents. And we know that because this ministry is not held to the same standards. In normal situations, state officials and attorneys always have access to the foster kids. They don't with this ministry. Employees at licensed childcare agencies usually have training when it comes to like not hurting kids who are acting out. Employees with this ministry don't. Licensed childcare agencies run background checks on potential employees. This ministry does not. We don't know who they're hiring. And in fact, according to the article, dozens of staffers have not had a proper background check. So that's messed up. And I know this is besides the point, but the guy who runs that organization, the guy who founded Dynamic Life Ministries, his name is Nathan Weber. He is a fan of Tucker Carlson, Pat Robertson. He is anti-trans, you could tell from his social media posts, which raises questions about what is he going to do? What's this ministry going to do if they have a trans kid in their care? Meanwhile, the guy, Ned Clements, the guy who currently is the president of that ministry, he apparently hires people as young as 18 to run this place, and they have to agree to work at least 72 consecutive hours a week, which makes no sense. That's like intense for doctors who work in the ER, but apparently 18-year-olds are supposed to do that to take care of kids who are like 16. So all of this is messed up. The article pointed out one of Dynamic Life's employees, if I could find this bit here, one of Dynamic Life's employees, shoot, I apologize, where'd it go? He was charged with helping kids with their mental health. He calls himself Christ's psychologist in training. Weber's son, the guy who founded this place, Weber's son is currently facing numerous misdemeanor charges related to harassment and menacing of his own young children. But that guy works with this ministry. Like, people like that should not be around kids, period, much less vulnerable kids in the foster care system. The article also pointed out that one child who had to work with this Christian ministry, this is a foster child, she said that she was non-binary. When she was 15, she told Nathan Weber she was non-binary. He responded with, and I identify as an attack helicopter. Because they only have that one joke. It doesn't even make sense. She also, that same kid said she was only allowed to speak to her best friend for 10 minutes a week. They restricted her ability to talk to her friends. And so, why are they doing this? One reason Oregon officials said they approved spending over $2,000, nearly $3,000 perhaps, per child per day, was to prevent and reduce the risk of temporary lodging. Like, they don't want to stick kids in hotels, so they'll give this ministry the money. But by giving that money to an unlicensed Christian ministry with uncredentialed staffers, they're taking a bad problem and making it worse. By the way, in the case of that 15-year-old I just mentioned, when a real foster parent stepped up to take her in, the ministry kept her in place by having a staffer become a certified foster mom, which allowed them to say the kid already had a foster mom. She doesn't need another one. Keep giving us the money, state of Oregon. Like, the ministry basically functions as a prison. It wants to keep in as many kids as possible because they get paid for doing that. It's like what's wrong with the actual prison system, too. So after this article was published, The state of Oregon officials there said, "We are conducting an internal review of dynamic life," which is good and that's important. But why didn't that happen sooner? This ministry has lobbyists. They are apparently buying up more property in Oregon so they can expand their ministry here. And this problem only got this far because state officials were less concerned about the welfare of children and more concerned with just throwing money at a problem, hoping it would stick without doing any due diligence. Like, we've seen that be a problem. Anytime any religious institution says, "We take care of kids," you have to pay close attention. We've seen the problems when it comes to the Catholic Church, when it comes to evangelical run boarding schools for kids. Like, you have to watch what they're doing because they will hurt the kids. It happens all the time. It should not take an investigative journalist to get the state of Oregon to realize its mistakes. Like, too many kids' lives are at stake here.